Opportunity to upgrade. Okay, I've been hearing a lot of good feedback on the title, so hopefully they'll carry us through. Let me get a show of hands first. How many people here have at least one thing in your life that you would like to improve, that you'd like to upgrade into something better? Yeah, pretty much everybody. Okay, I'm in the right place. Okay. Well, I've got a couple short little stories to tell you to kind of set the scene. And those who were here on my last talk or who have read my books or anything like that know that one thing that I pride myself on is giving you tools to work with, something practical that you can take home and use, that you can actually make a difference in your own life. So that's where we're going tonight. And just to kind of set the stage, let me kind of tell you where I came from. Because when I started out in life, I was kind of a straight A student. I was real good in school. I followed all the rules, and everything was looking good. Went through high school, got a full tuition scholarship to DeVry University, studied electrical engineering, and that's when things started going downhill. Eventually, it was just one thing after another, and it was like the dominoes were falling. And by the time the last domino fell, I was on the streets, no home, no job, no car, no money, no friends. And when I said no money, I mean absolutely nothing. I found a penny on the sidewalk, and that was all I had. No friends, and as far as I was concerned, no family I could contact. So I truly started with absolutely nothing. But that wasn't the worst of it. Because at one point in time, I found myself, and Linda has heard the story, and I'm not going to go into that much detail, but I found myself in a small apartment being beaten up by 3 guys twice my size. And literally, I thought I was going to die that night. So to say that I had some struggles to deal with, some things in my life that I wanted to change would be quite a little understatement. And I'm guessing that your situation is probably not as bad as that was. So if I can turn my life around, you can make whatever changes that you feel you need to make in yours. So that's the backstory. And obviously, things have improved quite a bit since then. And I can attribute it to, well, actually a lot of different things that I learned, but there was really one major piece of information that turned it around for me. And it was the turning point of everything in my life. And it's the idea that our life is a mirror. What we see outside of us is a reflection of the consciousness we have inside of us. I didn't like what I was seeing in my life. I eventually decided it was time to change. It was time to upgrade the life. And so I started with just meditation, affirmations, trying to hold a positive focus. In fact, at one point in time, I decided I was going to take a 7-day fast from anger. Because before that point, I was, as Mike Wickett calls it, I was a champion angry person. I could be angry at anything and anything at any time. In fact, I was so angry at God, I pretty much said, "Hey, devil, please." I was angry at a lot of things. So I took a 7-day fast from anger. And I decided, I made a conscious choice that if my life is a reflection of what's going on inside me, I was going to choose something better and brighter for my life to reflect. I chose to focus on happiness, on love, on all the bright things. And at that time in my life, it was a little bit easier because I didn't really have a job at that time. And so I could kind of sit, and at this time I did have a place to stay. So I could kind of sit and focus and meditate and really get my mind straight. And after a couple of days, I noticed that I was really feeling better inside myself. I wasn't getting as angry as I normally would when certain thoughts came up. So I already started noticing a difference just in the first couple of days. At the end of the 7-day fast, come out of it, a lot of things were happening differently. People were treating me different. And of course, hindsight being 2020, it's pretty obvious to see why. I was a nicer person to be around, so people responded to me in a little bit better way. And that was obviously just the first start. Because that was happening better, I was getting better sleep, my mind was clear, I was able to think clear, I was able to make better decisions. And the snowball effect, it just kept going in a more positive direction. So I attribute that one idea with the core, the crux of the major change in my life was just understanding that what I see outside of me is a reflection of what's inside of me. And so that really was the first major step. Obviously, there were other steps. And as my last talk was about prayer, prayer became a very major part of my life. And it wasn't, well, let me backtrack just a little bit. I found that there was a right way to prayer and there was there were right ways of prayer and there were wrong ways of prayer. And the way that most people pray, was the way I did, it's like, okay, God, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? It'd be really nice if this was changed, and I would be sending out this request. Well, can you do this for me? But the bottom line on prayer, and that really is kind of where we get into the how-to. The bottom line on prayer is it really depends on faith. As I talked in the last time, there's three major keys. There's the faith, there's the focus, being able to focus on what you want and eliminate the ideas of what you don't want, and a feeling of connection, of harmony with the divine spirit. Those are the three keys. But faith really is the foundation. And what I found is that in the prayers that weren't working for me, I really didn't expect a positive response. I kind of put it out there and I said, okay, well, I did what I could. Now let me get down to some real work. Eventually, I did learn that in order for the prayers to be effective, I had to truly expect a positive response. I had to really expect that my prayers were going to manifest in the world around me. Just as a quick example of how that can work. One of the stories I like to tell is before Linda and I got together. And the reason I like to tell the story is because it really demonstrates just how perfect this process can work. I had decided that it was time for me to find a relationship that I could really feel good about marrying into, basically. I had had quite a number of different relationships over my life, and none of them were really completely satisfying, and none of them lasted much more than a year. I think 15 months was the longest relationship I'd had. And here again, I had realized what I was doing to myself with this, because the as within, so without thing. I had believed before that point that I was so unique in the universe that there might be a handful of women in the entire world that I could actually make a good partner for. And so my mind said, compatible partners are scarce. Probably not going to find one anytime soon. My belief became my experience. So in the process of preparing for the prayers, I decided to change that belief. I decided to change the belief and say, okay, I'm not that far different from everyone. And I can probably get along with just about anybody. But there's even beyond that, I decided to believe that right within the Grand Rapids area, there's probably 1,000 women right here that would make a perfect partner for me. I decided to believe that. And beyond that, I decided to also expect that my prayers were going to be answered. So everywhere I went, I'm looking, It's like, where is she? Where is she? Be walking down the sidewalk. Well, maybe she's around that corner. Be going into the grocery store. It's like, okay, which aisle is she in? So I truly expected an answer to the prayer. Well, the manifestation of it came down to one Wednesday afternoon. I just had this thought pop into my head. It's been a long time since I've gone to a church that had a meditation service. Let me find one. So I got the yellow pages out and I looked around, and there was Unity Church in Ada meditation Wednesday nights. Hey, perfect timing. I called. We weren't doing the meditation service, but they had a class. I was welcome to come in. I went in. I started going there every Sunday. I met Evelyn as my first friend. She's right here, and it's perfect timing that she's here tonight. We got to know each other and became good friends, but that didn't work out to be that connection, so that was okay. A couple more weeks later, and this is like all within a 2-month time frame. A couple weeks later, I go to a service. It's like, yeah, this is nice, okay. And then afterwards, I'm getting my coat on, ready to go. Someone taps me on the shoulder to say hi. I turn around. As soon as I see her, it's like, you're the one. I knew right away. Took her a few years to figure it out. But in the process of the prayers that I put out, I had specified quite a number of little details that I wanted to be part of this relationship that I had never experienced before. I wanted it to have some kind of music involved. I thought that it would be interesting to be in a relationship that we can go to theater shows. Well, happens to be she was really an active member of the theater community. That worked out. There were so many different details. And the wonderful part is that her side of the story also had a lot of details that she said, well, I want this, I want this, I want this. And when she tells the story, she says, okay, I'm done with trying to find somebody, send me somebody. That was her part of it. Well, long story short, a lot of the details that she specified worked out perfectly too. Even more so than she expected, because she said, well, her ex-husband, John, had certain characteristics that she liked about him. And her friend, Alan, had certain characteristics she liked about him. And she ends up with me, whose name is John Allen. So there were a lot of interesting situations with that. Actually, that also ties in with something else that I was going to talk about here, too. Because before we got together, we both had previous marriages. The marriage that I had was the one that lasted 15 months, and that was the longest relationship I had at that time. Hers lasted longer than that, but quite a bit longer than that. And I'm going to not share too much information, but basically, when we got together, she said, I'm not ready for a relationship. She was still upset in some respects that the previous marriage didn't work out. And so I knew she was the one. I didn't mind waiting. It's like, yeah, that's okay. I'm here. And it took a while. But now that we're together, and now that we've been together for a long time, she has told me that she is a lot happier in our relationship than she ever was in the previous one. And that ties in with the talk tonight, because when that marriage ended, it felt bad. But after everything worked out, she upgraded. And I know I definitely did from all the other stuff in the past. So I guess where I'm going with this is that when bad things happen, and there's two reasons why bad things can lead to good results. One is that if one thing fades away, it opens the door for something else to come in. One relationship leaves, another relationship comes in that can be a lot better. But the bigger picture on that Okay, someone also mentioned something about if one job closes down, if the company you're working with, they close their doors or they decide to cancel or close out your position, or they're downsizing or whatever it is, and you lose that job. Well, there's a lot more out there, and the next one could be a lot better, as long as you implement the prayer process in a way that leads to the manifestation of a better experience. Like we had that prayer process that led to the better experience for us. And so one of the ways that these negative things can lead to positive results is because they send us a different direction. And I've noticed this in my own life quite a number of different times. I'm trying to get something to work. I'm trying to work on this project, and nothing seems to be working right on the project, and everything's taking longer than it should. And I get this piece of software and I try to make that work, and it's not working the way it should. And I run into all these frustrations. And I've learned over time, if that's happening, I'm going the wrong direction. It's time for me to change direction. And I have found over and over and over again, when I notice that happening and I change direction, I look around and I ask for that divine guidance. And I haven't always been as open to it as I should. And it's still something I am working on. But when I open myself up to that divine guidance and find the pathway that I should have been on to begin with, everything works so much easier. So one of the positive outcomes of these negative experiences to help redirect us to a more positive experience. The other thing that hard times can do for us is that they give us the opportunity to improve our skills. When we're dealing with difficult people, it helps us improve our ability to communicate and get a clear point across, or to come to an agreement. When someone's being very difficult to get a job done and you're working with this other person and whatnot, it really helps you improve your ability to work with other people. And then that, every time we improve our skills, it makes us more capable of doing bigger and better jobs in the future. It's kind of like the old saying that steel has to go through the fire of the furnace before it becomes strong. And I decided at one point to look at the past of my life. All the hard things that I had gone through in my life gave me the personal strength to do what I'm doing now. If I had not gone through that, there are so many different things that would have been different in my life. There are so many different things that would not have been as good as they are. I mean, just getting up here and talking to everyone here, that's not something I could have done a long time ago. But it's only through the trials and the tribulations and the training process. I mean, it's also like an athlete working out, lifting weights, running, all this hard work that eventually produces a positive response. So, and I kind of see what my time is. Let me get into the real how-to here. How do we actually deal with the situation? When we notice things are not going the way we want them to go, how do we actually deal with it? Well, as I've been talking about, a lot of it comes down to, where's our focus? What are our beliefs? Is there something that we expect to happen that we could change that expectation? Because our expectations create our experience. And so that's the first step, is to look at where am I in my mind? Where is my consciousness at? What am I inside that is being reflected on the outside? What do I want to see outside my life? And let me see if I can become that so that life can reflect for me. That's the first step. The second step, obviously, is getting into a prayer process and making that connection, getting into the harmony with I'm losing the ability to talk here. Okay.
Using water? Needing water?
No, actually, I think it's just my exercise. I'm exercising my mouth more than I normally do. So I'm upgrading my speaking ability is what I'm doing here. So the prayer process, again, it's getting into a feeling of divine harmony. And just to recap from the last talk, a lot of that is just opening yourself up to a feeling of love. And that really is the core bottom line of that. Once you can open yourself up, accept everything as it is, to even get to the point of loving everything the way it is. Life is wonderful. I mean, that's a phrase that I use over and over and over again within myself. Life is wonderful. And that helps me open up my spirit and become one with the divine spirit. And that's the first step in the prayer process. Second step, focus on what we want. What is it that I really want to create in my life? If it's a project that hasn't been going well, if it's a coworker that has been difficult to get along with, what do I really want in that situation? I want harmony. I want an easy flow in this situation. I want the situation to flow well. Or if someone's looking for a job, what do you really want? You want to be gainfully employed in a job that you enjoy doing, and you're taking home a paycheck that meets all your needs. So it's a matter of focusing on what you want. Third step, third major component, have faith. Have faith that it will happen. Have faith that the divine spirit of the universe is flowing through you and is manifesting this into your life. And those are really the three main parts of an effective prayer process. And then once you've done that, start looking for the result. Every time you go around that corner, where is it? Where is it? Where is it going to manifest? Once you get into that level of expectancy, it happens. It happens quick. So let me go ahead and close this out. I think we've got it good here. Just one little reminder. We are all divine beings. We are all co-creators with God. We all have the power to do whatever we want to in our lives. We can manifest anything we want. We can create our lives any way we want it to be. It's a matter of choice. Choosing to believe in yourself, choosing to believe that you can manifest the things that you want, and then choosing to believe that it will work out the way you asked for it. Thank you.